Well, hello everyone. Driving to work in a Prius. It's a lovely day here in Olympia, Washington. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about more about belief systems. I grew up very religious, and when you're growing up as a kid, you have this childlike faith, I guess some of us more than others, because we come into this world not really knowing anything, or what's up, or what's going on. Enter this world with pretty much no memory of anything else other than this, and it's just easy to just believe that your parents and adults know what's up, and they know what's going on and stuff, and so with religion and stuff, as my parents were, sorry, it's really bright, but I was trying to look at you without my glasses, but I'm just gonna be that sunglasses guy. So you just grow up with that faith like a child, and the parents are like, this is the way, this is what we believe, there's God, there's truth, this is the Bible. And my parents were fundamentalist Christians, which means that they took the Bible quite literally. And I never knew what to really think of that growing up, other than I wanted to be a good person and do the right thing. But I had a lot of questions about it, and after doing a lot of psychedelics in my early 20s, I was like, I think I'm going to explore this spirituality again and see if this is really what's up. And so I did that, and I had a lot of questions about the fall and all this stuff of man, and there were lots of questions I didn't get answered, and things that would just get kind of brushed under the rug, and it's just just trust and obey, and just it's this subservience, this self-abasing, we are fallen and decrepit, and it's only through the grace of God that we can get any kind of salvation. And I never really understood the aesthetic of God having to, the Trinity, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I never understood why God had to kill himself on the cross to forgive us. I was like, unconditional love, isn't that, you really need sacrifice? And in the Old Testament, that God, which, Christians believe is the same God as in the New Testament, God the Father, and the prophecies fulfilled through Christ and all that, in the Old Testament, that God, Yahweh, or in the Demiurge, El Debaoth, who's basically Satan, which is totally opposite from the pure God who cannot sin of the Bible. And I never understood why God required these blood sacrifices and would say things like, I am the Lord your God, I am one, there is no other God, I am a jealous God. And I thought, kind of fucked up there, because if you're the only God, what do you have to be jealous of? Is it really, are you jealous of people believing in idols or idolatry or whatever that is? Wouldn't you just, not be threatened by that? In fact, if he was in our lives more and had adequate mentorship and stuff and was actually communicating with the children, the people, then, people wouldn't turn away to other things. If they have a good relationship with their parents, things are going well. Furthermore, unconditional love is unconditional, right? That's the whole point of it. And so why would there have to be this ultimatum where it's you're doomed to eternal destruction if you don't believe the thing be by faith, which does not really add up with logic. Like, it's bad aesthetic, as I mentioned before, to give away your faith to things that you don't know. It's better to just admit the naivety. Like, we're all naive. There's no shame in that. There's no need to shame ignorance. We are just born in ignorance. And that's, we go through our whole lives being ignorant of, like, probably, like, the big things of what's going on here in this world and what it's all about. So, yeah, there's a lot of red flags there with religion and ideology and these belief systems that people just give away their faith to. And then also you have a perverted view of the world, because you're like, oh, all these people are doomed to burn forever. And here's another thing. A mature, wise, loving father or God would not, like, if your kid's gonna cross the street and they or like if you're gonna cross the street and you tell your kid to wait because there's cars going by, but they go anyways, you're not gonna just let them get hit by a car. You're going to grab their hand and stop them, whether or not they're disobedient. And so the God that's portrayed in the Old Testament is kind of the opposite of an unconditional loving being, putting all those ultimatums of believe or perish type thing. No. If anything, that to me is a travesty, a blasphemy to an actual all-loving deity. You know, what a travesty! What a like a horrible thing to believe about your God. I don't want to believe in a God that's like that, and that like is so intolerant of whatever fallen nature we are that it can't even like communicate with us or be around us. And it's like an absent father. It's like, anyways, I don't want to beat this horse to death, but those are the most powerful salient points I have that cannot be refuted, and I haven't had anyone be able to successfully refute those. It's pretty much a checkmate move as far as evidence against that ideology, that fundamentalist Christian like repression of fleshly desires, as they call them. But then that's why there's so many sexual offenses in the church, because people sexually repress themselves, like shaming themselves, and then one day it just comes out in some like ugly way where it's projected on someone and like becomes this whole thing. But also, with that said, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but adjacent to that, we do it's like relationships do expire here. Everything expires, and it's not bad that a relationship expires, but I don't think it has to be as painful as it is. It's kind of a masochistic thing, and the gods of this world, the archons, have a masochistic aesthetic, which I have never been able to align myself with, because I'm like, sure, I can handle feeling some pain, feeling this despondency and that, and some sorrow, some grief. Like, I can handle some of it, but it doesn't need to be as often as it is. Things don't need to linger as long as, like, okay, I get it, it's painful, it's not fun. But the masochism, and a lot of people embrace that. They're like, you know, it's a Taoist thing, like, life is suffering, and, you know, like, accept it, you know, deal with it. Life is suffering, which, you know, that's not my aesthetic, but do we have a choice? Like, how much consent do I have in that? You can say no all you want, I'm gonna dig your heels in, but they're gonna drag you through that swamp as you go through time in this life. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of not consensual kind of existence where you can choose certain things, go for certain things, excel, and make progress. But ultimately, you can't really choose per se the felt presence of experience in a lot of ways, and maybe you can learn to accept it, as a lot of people do, and they're like, well, this is just life and it's just what it is, and that's fair too, but I try to it's like the resistance thing. It's very interesting. I don't think it's bad to resist, but it does take a lot of toll. It takes a lot of toll, but some things we're just naturally resistant to, and there's nothing wrong about that. There's this whole like almost pious like acceptance and almost attachment to the present moment, which is kind of funny because it's like oxymoron, and like people are like, I'm in the present moment, and it's like, yeah, but like I feel like the right kind of orientation to have is it's like driving a car. You got your rear view mirror you can glance in, you're mostly looking forward, but you're also in the now. So it's kind of the holy trifecta of all three of them. So anyway, I just thought that was a funny thing to throw out with being attached to the present moment, having no attachments. But inevitably, we just naturally attach to things, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way we are. We are innately just born to attach to things. I mean, firstly, our parents, the things we get used to. Obviously, it can go even further into like actual physical dependency. I mean, when you quit a relationship that your heart is like fully alive in, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's like, it feels like a death. And it's like, I mean, I've never been addicted to heroin, but I've heard people say it's akin to heroin withdrawal. Like the night sweats, it's like the shivering, the depression. It's crazy that it's like, it can be that potent. And it's like, yeah, there's probably science there that we just haven't discovered yet on like the science of the soul and the emotions and the ecstasis of our ontology, like who we are, the nature of who we are, that we don't understand. That when we get torn asunder like that, and it does feel like death, it does feel like quitting a very powerful drug, because love is a very powerful drug. And we attach to relationships, we attach to people, we attach to substances. And a lot of the substances that are the most addictive are ones that are just naturally going on here, are hormones. So that is a very prevalent thing here. And lots of people have a lot of different perceptions on it. It's good to talk about these things and find new ways to elaborate and just put to words what this is, like the nature of who we are, which is what I study, inevitably study, because I just think about these things all the time. I wake up in the morning, I even go to sleep thinking about that stuff. Hell, when I get stoned, I think about that stuff. There isn't really any escape. There's alleviation of pain. Like when like Kratom has really helped me. I have mixed feelings about it, because anything that's addictive, it's like, well, I'm probably going to have to end up quitting this at some point, and that's not going to be fun. I have quit it before, and it's not fun. Because eventually you get the diminished returns to where it's like, it's not worth it. But as long as you know what you're in for, it's important to know and respect the substances that you are creating a symbiosis within yourself. And like, you have to weigh the options, kind of like being like, is this helping me more than it's hurting me? And sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that, because, and I was talking with one of my friends about this the other day, is that over enough time you forget what it is to feel good, which is a miserable evil under the sun. And a lot of people, in recovery and stuff from whatever it be, drugs or trauma or whatever, it can be such a strong it can be such a strong possessive thing on our being that it takes years sometimes of recovery to just feel good again, to just feel normal and natural and like yourself. And yeah, I have so much empathy for that. I feel for that because I am one that also has observed this, experienced this, and many people around me. That's why it's good to have these conversations and know just how common it is that we go through these pains and these different iterations of belief systems. My belief systems have changed so much over my lifetime. I'm 36 now, and gosh, I'm a completely different person than I was in my early 20s. If I make it into my late 40s or whatever, I don't know, I'll probably be exponentially more different and have changed my beliefs several times, because our beliefs are so much dependent on our experiences. And I'm trying to find a way to wrap this up, because if you listen to any of my other videos, I can be kind of all over the place, and I'm trying to be have more continuity in a topic with a video. And so I'm working on that. I feel like I'm getting a little better at it. But I would also like, in the comments or whatever, ask me anything. Ask me anything you'd like to talk about, or like that you'd like to hear me just rattle on about. And I would love to discuss that. Part of my aesthetic, because I bring up aesthetic a lot, because that's kind of where, like, I try to live my life as a piece of art. Like, if this is a movie, like, we should, like, these are our lives. Like, we should, how we move through this space in this world in this time can be a work of art, even though there's a lot of times in my life I'm like, I don't want anyone to, like, see me in this state, or, you know, we have a lot of the blooper reels. Oh gosh, if you could just, like, see, if there's just a blooper reel, I think of sometimes and how clumsy I am, or like when I'm putting on a lid or taking off a lid, and how many lids just fall on the ground, because I'm like, I have been screwing lids on like my whole life, and I've not gotten better at it per se. But it's always a quick thing, like that anything you're doing that you don't really put a lot of intention into, which I try to do with the small stuff in life. Yeah, it's just like execution's not there very well, and lots of things fall by the wayside there. But getting back to the aesthetic thing, my aesthetic, one part of my aesthetic in, like, having my life as a piece of art is not really having secrets. Because I associate secrets with kind of shamefulness. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't want anyone to see this because it's kind of cringe, or it's like, oh, I don't want to, you know, it's a travesty to who I am, which, you know, a lot of things are, and there's still a lot of things I'd like, you know, that are just private, and probably other people don't care to see and or hear or whatever. But as far as ontology, like the study of the nature of our being, and existentialism, and the human struggles we go through that are common amongst, between you and I, we might experience them in different ways, but we experience, I'd like to say, like the same kind of things living in this world and being a human. And those are the things I like to just have transparency, authenticity about. And I think it's important for us to discuss these things more and not have it be like softening what used to be cringe into something that we can discuss and talk about, address. And for me, over time, that's been the way that I've healed and evolved, I guess I could say, from states of being like, don't look at me, like just sequestering myself away and like feeling very not connected to the world and other people. But it's that you get out there. I went to an open mic last night, start talking to people, and you find out a lot of people we're so much the same. And a lot of us hide in our little boxes and our, like, we want to all be dignified, of course, and all that, but people open up about authenticity. You just are about, like, what it is to be a human and struggles and stuff. I mean, on the other side of that, you don't want to, like, emotionally dump on people, trauma bond them. Like, just, yeah, just, it's like, what's that called? Oversharing. I mean, some people are into that. They can go on and on. Anyways, I gotta get to work, and I've made it this far in the video. Thanks for listening.